6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Certify compliance with the open records law.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hazelton.
Here.
Councilmember Hooker.
Here.
Councilmember Menke.
Here.
Councilmember Raisler.
Here.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Here.
Councilmember Weisapple.
Here.
All are present.
Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would someone like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. It's adopted. Next, we move on to public comments. Is there anybody that would like to make any comments about any item that's on the agenda or anything? Please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Linda Elster, and I am president of the Durand Library Board. And I see that you're going to discuss the termination of the joint agreement between the city, the public library, and the school board. And so we're just looking for some guidance on what your thoughts are on how to proceed with this item on the agenda and what you would like the public library board to do.
Okay. Anybody else again identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Janice Cartman. I'm a member of the Durand Swim Club Board of Directors, and I'm here really to, again, express my support for the building of a new pool here in Durand. I think it's something that will benefit the city in so many ways, and I think we need to proceed. I'm here, I guess, to say, let's proceed, let's get going, let's make a decision as best we can, as soon as we can. We're running the risk of losing some of the funding and the support of individuals that we had because there has been a delay. And I realize it's not an easy answer, it's not an easy question to solve, but I think we need to act relatively soon, or I'm very fearful that it's not going to happen. So I strongly urge you to make a decision as quickly as possible. I'm also here to, I guess, express as a patron of the library, I'm here to express my displeasure with what I saw happen by the school board, and hopefully that the city can work with all of the entities there to keep the library in the place that it is and find out what those issues are. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Again, please identify yourself for the record.
I'm Jan Spindler. I'm also on the library board, and I know you're having a conversation tonight. I just want to reiterate that from my perspective, and I think all the other members of the public library board, we'd like to see the joint venture continue. Though there's issues that can be resolved, but as always happens when there's several parties involved and different personalities and personnel, there's issues, but I really think we can work with those and work it out with the school. So I just want and hope that this committee, this council, will reaffirm their support of the joint library.
Anybody else?
I'm Jane Raymond, and I'm a taxpayer. And when I look at the top possibility of a separate library, who in the world is going to pay for that? Where is it going to be? Where is the parking going to be? And why in the world would we even consider that when we have what most of us consider an absolutely fabulous situation where we have the city and the community and the school library in the same location with parking and shared staff and all of those things. So I hope that's certainly taken into consideration, because I think the taxpayers are going to have a lot of questions if we have to look at building a new public library. So, but certainly you don't have an easy task. Thank you for your time.
And who else would like to speak? And the one thing I'm going to mention, because of the two subjects that were brought up, that you would notice that we have a closed session for both of them, because we are talking very specific agreements with the city. And that obviously allows us under a Wisconsin state statute to do that. I think one of the things about this, and especially specifically with the library situation, is sort of new to a lot of people sitting here, but again, the agreement's been reopened, and it's a negotiation situation. So that's where we're falling on that decision to hold a closed session for that, because again, it's a specific agreement with the city that's being negotiated. Okay? Anybody else?
I just have a question in regards to that. On your agenda, it says, you know, that you're going into closed session, and then you'll reconvene and discuss in closed session. Is that something we as citizens should stick around for, or?
My best guess is, with tonight being the fact that it's such a recent decision of the school board, we're probably not gonna take any action. I can't guarantee that, but the general, I'm probably not gonna take, but more planning our direction going forward.
Okay. So,
Just, you know,
okay.
Mayor, can I help you just a second?
okay.
And you always interview with Brian afterwards. My guess is if something did come out of that, you would mention it.
So if there were any.
If there was anything, then
action
that'd be a
taken
full way
or
of-
whatever results
Yeah.
that you discuss in open session, then we would be able to see online.
You won't see online, but I do an interview with the mayor
Okay.
afterwards. And so the big thing with this part of it is not, you know, that them coming back from closed session. It's obviously for the public, but it's for me. So if the mayor comes back after the closed session and they decide, we're telling the school to hell with you, we're gonna make our own library, obviously I'm gonna know that. And the first question I'm gonna ask, the first question I'm gonna ask the mayor is, why did the council decide to tell the school, to hell with you, we wanna build our own library? So that'll be the first question I'll ask, and obviously we would have that on our interview, you know, tomorrow morning and part of the news. I mean, and frankly, I would post it on my social media for the station page saying the city just told the school to the heck with them, they'll make their own library, so, you know.
We appreciate the way you got dramatic
You know.
about that. To
So
make a
that's what
point,
that's for.
to make a point, I get it.
Yeah, and the same with the pool. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
So we will know the results. So when the first closed session,
If there's any action or anything.
we'll stage.
And that's live stream, right? So we could always go back and.
Nope, when they go into closed session, I turn the
No,
live stream on.
afterwards,
I don't start the live stream again, I just do an interview with them and put it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that answers the
Yeah.
question.
And by the way, tomorrow, if anybody can call the city administrator, I'd be happy to explain anything and to do that, so. Jane, did you have one?
Yeah, does the school have plans for this space? Why are they doing this? Is there not enough money? What?
Well, at this point here, they just took an action, and we are going to be responding to that action. I mean, that's what we're at this point. And we can say we've had conversations with them. But again, there's a very specific rental agreement between the city of Durand and the Durand, Arkansas School District. They have made a decision, and the reason why it's 18 months is because that's what the agreement is. You have to give 18 months, and that's why they did it. But opening negotiation as far as the, and this is the opening shot in a renegotiation of that agreement.
Okay.
Did you just?
I think that's fair.
But have they given a reason? Are they looking at that space and saying, this is what we want to do with it?
No, we haven't received that information, if that's.
Because certainly as a taxpayer, I'd like to know.
Sure, and you can ask them, I guess, if there was anything, we haven't been
Yeah.
told yet.
They discussed it at their board meeting in open session last Wednesday.
Which I don't know that anybody knew that was gonna happen, did they? Is that on the
It
agenda?
was clearly on the agenda,
Okay,
yes.
then I didn't, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm Tammy Wagner, and I'm on the library board as well. And I think that is part of the problem with the whole situation, is that it seems like such a shock to so many people that it was even on the agenda. And that's what people's biggest questions are, as to what are the issues and what are we negotiating? Like, what are they wanting to negotiate? So I think that's where a lot of the
Our concern, absolutely.
comments and stressors come from.
Okay, anybody else to speak under public comments? None? We move on to scheduled appearances, we don't have any. Consent agenda, the following matters may be acted upon by the city council utilizing a single vote. Individual items which any member wishes to address in greater detail as a separate item on the regular agenda may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any council member. We have the minutes from the regular city council meeting from May 24th, 20, oh, don't we have another June meeting? Okay, so we're going to change that, so on, that is actually from the June 14th, 2023 meeting. Bartender's license for Brandon J. Laporte at the Spot Bar, Jean M. Ford, Connie L. Duke, Kimberly A. Lund, Sarah C. Cataract, Christina I. Price, and Sarah J. Scott for the Consumers Co-op Durand C. Store. Some make a motion concerning the consent agenda. No problems.
No, stands and no issues.
No issue.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It says, made the record that Councilmember Hooker is abstaining. Next we move on to the business agenda, mayor's report. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Dig and the Music in the Park. A little bit different for us. Usually we're after a city council meeting, but it happened that they moved to the third Wednesday. And of course, a beautiful crowd and a nice evening. And congratulations on that event. I'd also like to congratulate Matt and staff for everybody with the pool. The first round of lessons went really well. A lot of kids, and now we got a second round, and I'm sure you'll have a report on sign up on that coming up in your report and so on. But doing a great job this summer. That's all I've got. Are there any questions? Nothing came off the consent agenda. Administrator's report. Administrator Rasmussen.
Just a couple things, one of them being pretty big. So as I've been talking about for about the last 5-6 meetings, finally came to fruition. So the legislature passed the shared revenue bill, known as Act 12, and the governor signed it. Basically, all the details of that we now have before us. As I noted last time, we were basically every municipality, city, township, village was slated to receive at least 20% increase in shared revenues. And so in our case, we got exactly that 20%, which amounts to about an additional $93,000 a year. Currently in past years, we've been getting about $465,000. So beginning, we think, pretty certain beginning in 2024, we will be receiving almost $560,000. I think that's a great thing. Again, there's been no increases at all. It's been all decreases in shared revenue for probably about the last 30 years. And again, just a side note, I'll talk about the counties. The counties got it as well, a little different program. They got a little different minimums and maximums, but I'll touch base on that just a little bit later. So basically how this is being funded, so this is $1.5 billion annually for all units of government. Basically they're taking a full penny of the state's portion of sales tax, as I think we're all aware. Just about every county except I think Milwaukee County area with the stadium renovation pieces, it's 5 cents that goes to the state. You know, most municipalities, most counties it's 5.5 cents. 0.5 cents goes to the county. 5 cents total goes to the state. They're saying they're taking a penny of that and distributing it all to municipalities. So that's how they're paying for it. So this is an ongoing thing. This isn't a one-year thing. As obviously as sales tax revenues go up and potentially down, so will the money that's distributed. But again, in the past we haven't seen too much, not a lot of big fluctuation in that. So I think this is again really a great thing. You heard me say that there was some minor concerns about what these funds might be utilized for. They spelled that out for us. I think you'll find many of these to be pretty high priorities for the city. So eligible utilized for law enforcement, fire protection, emergency medical services, emergency response communication, comm centers, which obviously we don't have, public works, courts, and transportation, which we really don't have either. So again, I don't think we're having any problem spending some of these items. And again, I don't say this to presuppose anything, but you're aware that Chief Ridgway has been pushing for an additional officer. So that will probably be a part of the discussion of where this money might go. But again, ultimately, that decision will be up to the city council as we move forward and talk through the 2024 budget. A couple other things of note that came through as part of this bill as well. The complete repeal of the personal property tax. So for any of you that have businesses and pay personal property tax, that's coming to an end. And then the state is also going to backfill up that. We're not going to lose money, but we're just not going to have to monkey around with personal property tax anymore. And that's even more so with Derek Brenner and that piece. The expenditure restraint program, that was a concern I had. The city still is eligible for the expenditure restraint, the money that, keeping our costs down in the general fund. There's a fear that they're going to take that program away because obviously we're going to be spending more in the general fund, but clearly they decided that they are going to adjust for that, and those communities that are still qualified for expenditure restraint will still qualify under the old guidelines with the adjustments. So again, that's a good piece of news as well. A few other pieces that are, again, some side pieces of this. There's an additional $3 million in state money for part of an innovation fund to incentivize consolidations that provide savings. And specifically, they're looking at combining local services, including public safety, fire, EMS, courts, jails, training. Now, I see this as finally taking that final step, hopefully, between the fire department, rural, and city. I think that would qualify here. It's going to qualify for something. So again, that might be the incentive that we're all looking for.
There's
here.
a cap on that, right? It's like $100,000 or something.
It's something like that, right? Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. No one project can receive more than $100,000. Exactly.
Which for that project would be.
Oh, I don't think we'd get
But
there,
for
yeah.
other things, I think it would be hard.
Yeah, and it's maybe a little bit on the lower end, but at least they're providing some incentives. And another piece that was mentioned, I talked to co-director Dowdy at the ambulance, so they increased the emergency medical services aid from basically 2.2 million to 15 million. So we're going to get some of that. How much, we don't know at this point, but that's good too. Also increased law enforcement training needs. Again, all good things for us. There's a number of Milwaukee cities, county specific issues. I won't bore you with those details. And one final piece that was kind of looked at, limited right at the end, regarding EMS. Bill makes several revisions to EMS licensing regulations that have the general effect of reducing regulatory burdens, costs for EMS services. In addition, local governments would not be able to prohibit police, fire, EMS employees from being employed or volunteering at the same time. Again, I think the plus side that I see from a lot of these things is kudos where kudos is due. We've been, personally, I mean, my goodness, from the meetings the entire time I've been here at the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, complaining to them that we need help at the EMS level. And obviously we're all going through with trying to find police officers to hire and things of that nature. Kudos, the state finally listened. They put aside both, this was a bipartisan effort, and on the governor's side as well. So again, kudos to everyone involved for doing this. And again, I think the citizens of Durand are going to see benefits from this. So I probably won't be talking about this much anymore, so I'm going to come up with some other things.
Well, that'll be the budget process.
Exactly. So, but that's all great news. One final thing I had, this came up a few months ago that we have, so folks at Cedar Core that are monitoring our block grant low-income home repair program, saying that basically they've got a lot of money, they've got a lot of paybacks with homes being sold. There's almost $160,000 in that fund, and frankly, we need to spend it or we could potentially lose it. So again, appeal out there, and maybe that's, Mayor Brian, you guys talk about that a little bit more to get that out there, that or folks in the audience, if you know people of low income that could use home improvement loans for basically no interest, and they don't have to get paid back until the home is sold. Let us know, and we'll put you in touch with the folks at Cedar Core to get some of these things taken care of.
So we have a flyer or something?
We do, Matt. We have, and that was, yeah. And one of the things that was brought up is basically they wanted to send flyers to everyone in the city. The vast majority of the people aren't going to qualify. I mean, it seems like a waste of time, but my goodness, we have to do something to get word out just a little bit more. And some of this thing, we have to be a little bit careful because, frankly, staff could pick out homes and neighborhoods and put them on doors, but I don't want to be that presumptuous, and incurring much wrath in that. But again, there is money available for people, and we hope that they take advantage of it. So.
And it is an anonymous program.
Right.
Cedar Corp does when they come in front of the committee that approves it. You don't know who the money's going to. It's completely based on the criteria. And the reason why is we built it back up because the loan goes against the house, but it doesn't come back into the fund till it's sold. So recently, there's been houses that have been part of it, that have been sold. So here, 10,000 comes back here, 15 comes back here, and before you know it, we got 160,000 that we can loan out again. But if, again, since we got so many people in the audience, if you know people, low to moderate income, qualifications there, but it's an anonymous program. We don't know who it is, we approve it on the merits, and then Cedar Corp will go through with its staff and execute the
How
loan.
much can each person get? Is it-
It's, I don't know, it's capped. I mean, there's been at least like $40,000-$50,000 loans since I've been here. Again, depending on the amount of work that need to be done and the number of applications coming in.
And they take into consideration if there's a loan against the house,
Right.
and such of things. And they've got formulas to explain it. But it's a pretty good program, but it just happens to be we built that back up with the payoffs. And again, that's money that stays only in that program.
Does the house have to be sold then, after they approve it?
No, I'm sorry, ma'am, just the explanation of, so basically, there's no payback of the loan, but if you sell the property, the loan needs to be entirely repaid, and then it goes right back into that fund.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they could be in the
So
house.
it's
for
kind of
another-
free money until.
It
they
is, it's
sell
really
it.
free money until they sell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it
that
could be
is-
another 20 years, could be 25 years,
Yeah,
whatever it
pretty
is.
close to us.
And then when they come back, that's when it's paid off and put in the program.
So is that available only for housing improvements or property improvements?
Only housing improvement. This is, so, community development block grant, it's a housing specifically for that, yeah.
But siding, windows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
All-
and specifically, residential, obviously, not really for business.
Water problems,
Right,
and
yeah.
and those types of things.
Yeah, wonder what landlords do, for a little bit.
Oh, true, but again, it's residential. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have other options available for businesses.
We do, yeah, we have other city programs for businesses,
Yeah.
facade loans and things
Yeah,
like that.
here's the business one. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Do you want to mention, I also had brought up a week or so, we had talked about, we still have a little bit of ARPA funding that we haven't
Oh,
decided
correct,
yet. And
We-
you
we-
want to mention that you talked to
Sure,
department heads?
we've talked into, so at this point, recall that when we made the last decision, we had roughly $19,000 left. On Matt's water communication system, that came in about $10,000 under budget, so at this point, we have about $29,000-$30,000 to spend yet, and we've talked about it at the department head level. Matt is always quick, he can come up with any kind, he's got all kinds of, areas, especially since this was clearly water sewer related. Again, Matt has no underabundance of items that we could fund it, so it's not going to go to waste, but it's still out there, and so we're keeping an eye on that. We've got until the end of 2024 that we have to decide, and spend it by 26, but, so we do have some time, but again, so it's out there, Mayor, we'll continue talking about it.
Any questions for the city administrator? Hearing none, discussion of possible action regarding tobacco license for the Spot Bar. It's just one that came in after the last meeting. Someone would like to make a motion concerning tobacco license for the Spot Bar?
I'll make a motion to approve the tobacco license for the spot bar.
Second. We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say. Let the record be that Councilmember Hooker abstained. Public safety, police report, do we have anything from the chief?
Did not have anything from Chief Ridgway,
Okay. Fire department, anything from chief?
nothing from Chief Kane.
Ambulance, they were here and made a good showing last
Yep,
meeting.
they did. I just want one thing to add, because frankly, I forgot it in my, in my reports, but it is ambulance, it does pertain to ambulance. I talked about basically the local governments that got the funding from the state, and I noted that obviously the city got 20%, all cities were capped at 20%. A number of our townships did far better than that. Town of Stockholm got 447% increase. Now again, just from the side note, we were getting 465,000, Stockholm was getting 7,500. They now will be getting 41,000. So a number of the townships have done really well on that program. How that pertains to ambulance, so the wheels are turning here. We know we have issues with our per capita costs that we charge the townships for EMS services, for the ambulance service. Clearly, they were under the same cap limits that we were in the past. And so when we passed some of those along to get it to a level that we felt we needed to generate enough income to run our ambulance service, we got a little, some negative feedback from the townships that, again, we're under levy cap limits, we can't afford those type of increases. Frankly, they can now. going forward. So my plan would be, that we talk about this some more in the future as part of the 2024 budget, and we need to, whatever we need to get that per capita rate to. And again, this includes the city of Durand as well. We're not just passing this along. Clearly, we pay for ambulance service as well. So that, and that combined with the fact that we did raise the on-call rate using some of our ARPA funding for a 2-year, potential purpose, but that's gonna run out, and obviously in 2 years, some of that increase in per capita will help cover that going forward as well. So again, it's, their increased revenues can help increase our ambulance service. And as I noted several times, this is, the increase in this was clearly about public safety first. So again, it'd be hard to kind of deny that hey, this is clearly going for those services. And just to be clear too, that, this is not just, hey, we're gonna send them a letter and this is what you're gonna pay. I'm sure this with Chief Ridgway with his other hat on the town of Durand, but clearly that's something whether or not myself and or co-directors Dowdy and Bignell need to go to some of those, some of those meetings this fall, and the townships have their budget meetings, we'd be happy to do so and explain that entire situation.
And you have to remember that we were the lowest, that we were asking our municipalities, because remember, the ambulance service belongs to the city, we contract with these municipalities. We were the lowest in the state for like 2 decades, 3 decades. Finally, back a few years ago, we had to get it up because we obviously needed funding to make sure that we could pay our staff on call, and we started to, because obviously the old cattle call system was not working anymore, and we had to do that. So it's been a situation where we've always been quite reasonable to make sure that everybody can afford the ambulance service, but we also have to look at the fact that obviously we need to have these funds available and so on. So as we go forward in the budget, we'll see how that works. Anything else on ambulance? Public Works, Utilities, Superintendent Gillis?
Yeah, a couple things quick here. We had our kickoff meeting for the 12th Avenue project with Next Level Excavation. The tentative plan is for them to start construction July 10th. They'll come in that week and do all their subcutting and clearing, grubbing, and get the road built back up. And the following week of the 17th is when they're gonna potentially start the curb and gutter, which should work well with the Dollar General's schedule as well. So that'll be kicking off here in the middle of July. Next, the pool. The month of July, we are having some minor staffing issues. Like I said, last meeting, we did lose 1 lifeguard for the year. So we are down to only 5 lifeguards, certified lifeguards. We'll be closed July 4th and July 13th due to staffing. None of our guards are available to work those 2 days. There are 9 days in the month of July where we will only have 2 lifeguards available those days. We will be open those days, but to limited people inside the fence. When there's only 2 lifeguards by state code, we can't have more than like 130 people in the fence, which we're never at that at one time. That's usually like 150 has been total for the day, I think is the high. So we should be okay. The only downside of that is we have to kick everyone out of the water for like a 15-minute break every hour and a half or so to give the lifeguards a bathroom break and water break and things like that. So you'll basically be going back to the old school where they'll kick everybody out of water so that they can take their 15 minutes to get a drink of water and use the restroom. So we will be working through that schedule for the month of July. Some quick calculations. I'll know more after the first, but we are losing over 16,000 gallons a day in the pool. That's what's basically went through the water meter in the last 20 some days here. So we're at about 16,000 gallons of water loss. We have been maintaining all of our chlorine residuals and our pH and everything like that, so we haven't had any issues with with the levels, but we are using a little bit more chlorine, a little bit more acid, obviously because we're turning that water over a lot quicker than normal. The main pool motor is it's holding its own. It's running at about 580, 590 GPM. Technically, by code, we need to be north of 6, but it's pacing and maintaining right in that 580, 590.
What were we losing before we patched the pool?
Just rough guess, that was before we had the autofill on, so we were filling probably a little higher. We were in that 20,000 gallon a day mark. So,
That's all right.
so
How much would you lose a day to evaporation if the pool didn't leak anything?
probably just maybe 1,000 or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know that exact. I'd have to do a calculation. I got formula in my office that I can do a calculation. And then it depends on the day because it's cloudy.
Sure.
There's a lot of different factors that do that, smoky, that hazy. Swimming lesson, the second round of swimming lesson sign up is out. It will start July 17th and go to the 28th. This round is a little bit different than the first round as we only have 3 WSI lifeguards, 3 WSI instructors that are able to teach the entire 2-week stretch. So that means there's only 3 levels per session. We are going to run the sessions a little bit different. We're doing an 8 to 9 session, a 9 to 10 session, a 10 to 11 session, and 11 to 12 session. And we're offering levels 1, 2, 3 in the first session, then 4, 5, 6 second session, 1, 2, 3 for the third, and 4, 5, 6 for the fourth. And there was some questioning about maybe the potentiality of a session from 4 to 5 in the afternoon. I only have 1 guard that's potentially 2 guards that are available from 4 to 5. Otherwise, after 5, no one's available. So that's why we're not offering the evening session this time. Is I don't have anyone available to run those sessions. So we have in the sign up. There's a questionnaire. If you can't make anything from 8 to noon, would you be able to make a 4 to 5? And if we had 1 session of level 2 or level 3 that we could make work, we'll try to make that work as best we can.
I mean, basically, staff was sensitive to the fact that there's probably some parents that just can't make morning sessions work on things. So let us know, and we do our best to make that work if we possibly could.
So a little bit different this time around based on the WSI availability.
How many kids did we put through the first session?
130, 120 something.
And how many can we accommodate second session?
So you'll be doing 30, 60, 90, 120.
Another 120 possible.
Possible.
Could still have lessons. Okay. That's decent numbers then.
Are we having lifeguards and other staff having to pick up more shifts than what they normally would, I'm guessing, right?
We have some that are picking up more hours, yes.
Okay. A lot more?
Not really. I think we only had 1 that ended up actually being over 40.
Over 40.
Yeah, so we only had 1 guard that ended up having overtime, and it wasn't, 5 hours or something like that. So not terrible. It's just their schedules. Parents want them to go on vacation. They got volleyball, they got basketball, they got 8 million other things to do too. So
I was just trying to figure out, brainstorm a way of how we could maybe do something for a subtle thank you for, kind of picking up a little extra.
yeah, and I offered them overtime. I told them we'll pay you overtime to basically whatever you want to work. So they were all offered that incentive.
While still being, some of these are of the age that we have to be cognizant also of the child labor laws.
Yeah, we have to be very.
Yeah, truthfully, some of them maybe don't want overtime.
Well, there was some of that too.
They don't want that, and the child labor laws that we have to follow. We're staying within the rules that is set forth by the state and the federal government, but yet also trying to incentivize them to work as well.
I didn't know if there's a way, if, you know, we have any funds available for certain days, maybe we take, you know, some snacks and drinks for them as a thank you, or if that's something maybe the swim club could do. Just a thought of, like, trying to say thank you for helping out a little extra.
What will the open swim hours be during that lesson period?
Same
Same?
as the last lesson period.
Which is what?
Adults swim from 6 to 8 a.m. and then the pool opens at 1 to 3:30 for open swim.
Obviously, if we didn't have that
If we don't have that
nighttime,
4,
then
we'll
keep it up.
keep it till, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay, anything else?
No. Unless you have
Any-
any questions.
Any questions for Superintendent Gillis? Hearing none, the council will convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1E for the deliberating, negotiating, or investing of public funds or conducting other specific business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding the future of the Durand Park Pool.